right, welcome back to the Scarlet Faithful podcast. This is Aaron Brightman with my rapid reaction to Rutgers avoiding disaster and defeating Stonehill on Saturday, December 30th, 59-58. Whew, that was a brutal performance. Fortunately, Derek Simpson saved the day with a clutch three-pointer with 12 seconds to play to catapult the Scarlet Knights, avoid what would have been the worst loss, just from if you look at it from a Ken Pom perspective, in the Steve Peichel era, and I've been going back, I mean, almost 20 years, they haven't had as bad of a loss in terms of Stonehill was ranked 358th coming into this game. Lafayette was like 321 2 years ago that Rutgers lost. So this would have been awful loss. They've only been Division One a couple of years. Stonehill, to their credit, battled the 2-3 zone. I mean, they really threw Rutgers off. I think they did benefit from having played at Miami in their last game. They played at Kentucky. They played at UConn. So they were not intimidated at all. It was a good crowd at the rack on Saturday. 7,000 about is what I saw Carino tweet out. Student section. Everybody was, Rutgers fans have been fantastic for this team and this program for a long time. In terms of being at the rack and showing support. And it was brutal. I mean, talk about nausea. I also had the fun fact of dealing with my 3-year-old son who did not want to watch anymore in the final minute and took the remote, changed the source to HDMI right when Derek Simpson hit the three. I missed it. I went back. I saw they were winning. I saw the replay. And then right as Stonehill was taking that final shot, he changed it again. And I missed the final shot. And then I went back and saw it. So double anxiety for me. Listen, this was a uninspired, disinterested performance by Rutgers. It's alarming. It's concerning. I know a lot of fans just want to jump on the bandwagon and say the season's over. I shouldn't say a lot of fans. There's a portion of fans that want to say that. They've been saying that for a little while. And I'm already getting that, thrown at me on Twitter and other social media and all that, messages and, saying this team's going to win 4 teams in the Big Ten and all that. So let's just break down what happened. Rutgers shot miserably. They were 25% from the floor? They could not make a basket. They shot 25.8% from the floor, 16 of 62. They had missed 20 of their last 22 threes before that make by Simpson. They were just 5 of 28 for 26.7%. They were brutal, 4 of 15 on layups. And they were just 62.9% from the free throw line, 22 of 35. Just a very, very frustrating performance. Cliff was 11 of 18 from the line, which is actually, about average for him. He did have 17 and 15. Andre Hyatt, had a relatively good game. He finished, he was just 5 of 13 from the floor, but he did have 15 points. He took some big shots. He missed that corner three that could have given him the lead before that. But, this team just did not – they're not playing with passion. They're not playing connected. They took some really bad in terms of shot selection. It was very poor. If you can't attack the Stonehill 2-3 zone, what are Big Ten teams going to do to you with that 2-3 zone? Obviously, Jamichael Davis being out was a factor in this game. Credit to Derek Simpson for stepping up in his absence. He's been struggling. He was 5 of 5 from the floor, free throw line. He was just 3 of 13 from the floor, but that huge bucket. He did have 5 boards. He had 4 assists, 2 steals, and just 1 turnover. So he really, I think the hope is that this can be a galvanizing moment for Simpson, and that this can be a galvanizing moment for this team. If there's ever a wake-up call, a disappointing second half against Mississippi State in which you played extremely poorly after being right there in the first half, and your biggest competition, and you did not match the intensity or the physicality of your opponent. And then in this game, they were up 10 with about 11 minutes to go. And then Rutgers just went completely cold, took some really bad shots. Stonehill, to their credit, hit some threes. They went on a 14-0 run. Rutgers, it was something like, I have to go back and look, but it was definitely a 7-minute drought at one point. I think they made like 1 field goal in like a 10-minute period. It was awful. It was awful. There was a lot of, getting into Cliff, him getting fouled. But there was no penetration. There was no ball reversals. Simpson figured it out a little bit, but there was just really poor, just in terms of the mentality. Rutgers got really passive, and there's just a lack of confidence out there. Gavin Griffiths and Noah Fernandez did not hit a shot. Noah was 0 of 4. Gavin was 0 of 5. Fernandez did have 4 assists and just 1 turnover. He also had 3 steals, but did not score. Missed both his 3-pointers. Griffiths was 0 of 5, 0 of 3 from 3. He did have 4 rebounds. But both of those guys, in my opinion, are the 2 best natural scorers, and they had 0 points, lacking confidence there. Just a very, very disappointing performance to see this team. Listen, it's not completely surprising in the sense of this time of year is always screwy. It's the holidays. They're out of school now, semester break. You're home for the holidays. They were home, for 3-day break over Christmas. They started practice again on Wednesday. You would hope that would have reset them mentally and given them a little bit of an edge going into this game. Not the case at all. They went the opposite way. You're missing JaMychal Davis in this game. Mag was questionable, but started. Did not look great, to be honest. He just had 3 boards, 5 points. Not his best day. 1 of 7 from the floor. You also had Austin Williams return. He did give him 6 points early on, but not much in the second half. He gave him 3 boards as well. But he's a guy that was good to have back. But Antoine Woolfolk did not give them much. He looked like he had some kind of a back pad on in the huddle in the second half. Did not see much of him. So this seems, one issue coming into the year was worrying about injuries. And there was a lot of guys coming off of season-ending injuries. There was guys that, needed to bounce back. And Mag, obviously, in his 4th game back, still getting the rust off. Noah is still trying to figure it out. I'm surprised after the Seton Hall game how well he played and how confidently he played, that he really hasn't looked good at all the last 2 games. He's recovering in fractures in his foot from last season. You have Austin Williams, who's been banged up throughout. Davis is now, Mag has been listed as questionable. Still waiting on Bull, who was listed as questionable for the first time. So that's a positive sign. He's getting closer to returning. The Jeremiah Williams issue is still unresolved, waiting on him. So, this team has a lot of questions just in terms of availability. And they're completely out of sync. And it's definitely majorly concerning. The biggest takeaway, though, is that they avoided disaster. A lot of teams, including many Big Ten teams, we saw it last night with Michigan losing to McNeese State, who, by the way, is, coached by Will Wade. So not a complete shocker there in terms of the guy can just coach whether you like him or not. I'm just looking up real quick what McNeese State was. They were ranked. Yeah, McNeese State was top 100. So not a terrible, but Michigan also lost to Long Beach State, who was in the 100s. Maryland has lost to UAB and Davidson. None of these were nearly as poor losses as those. We've seen, actually Mississippi State lost to Southern. Northwestern had a mind-blowing loss to Chicago State. That was about what on par this would have been. They're a sub-300 team. Northwestern's had some good wins. So the point is, Rutgers got through non-conference play without a bad loss. And that is something. Whether you're pissed off or, have no hope for this team after this game, the bottom line is they escaped and they did not have a bad loss. They lost to Mississippi State. They lost to Princeton, and they lost to Wake Forest, all of which are in the top 55 in KenPom. And they've lost to Illinois, who's number 7. So your 4 best opponents, you've all lost. So that's disconcerting, right? That's not positive, but they're all in the top 55. You beat Seton Hall, who's number 80. That's what I go back to, is that if you just look at, they gave a dominant performance against Seton Hall. They only won by 7, but it was wire to wire, and they were in control of that game, and they were authoritative. They played with confidence. They were connected. They were the more intense team. They looked like they wanted it more. And then Seton Hall went out a week and a half later and dominated UConn at home, the defending national champs and top 5 team. So Rutgers obviously has the potential there to play and beat good teams, but they showed a real lack of interest in this game. And that is a big, big red flag. Credit to them. Credit to Derek Simpson for stepping up. Can this be a wake-up call? They finished 8-3 non-conference. Not great, not terrible. A lot of people predicted they go 8-3 in non-conference. You only get one quality win in non-conference. But again, no bad losses, no Q4 losses. And now you have a new season in the Big Ten. You have 2 road games next week. You're at Ohio State on Wednesday. Then you're at Iowa. What is this team going to do? Which team's going to show up? They have a choice. The season is very much still in their grasps if they can figure it out. And I know a lot of people listening and watching this are going to say they're not going to figure it out. They're terrible, blah, 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 blah. Historical example, Rutgers lost 3 games in a row to UMass DePaul and to Lafayette, who was 321 in KenPom, and they still made the NCAA tournament. So you can't rule this team out. Have they given a lot of confidence that they can figure it out? Not a lot of confidence there. This team, certainly from an identity standpoint, rebounding has been an issue. They were even today against Stonehill. Stonehill is not a good offensive rebounding team efficiency-wise, and they had a good amount of offensive rebounds today, which is certainly concerning. I just want to look that up real quick. They had, Rutgers had 20 offensive rebounds. Stonehill had 14, but second chance points. Stonehill had a 12-6 edge. So that's just something right there where Rutgers could not capitalize on the offensive rebounds. Transition-wise, they did not do enough of it. They points in the paint, I mean, it was even. This is a Stonehill team. I mean, you should have dominated inside. They just couldn't. And they just shot horrendously. I mean, 25% from the floor to win is a miracle, and would not have beaten any other team. Probably they would have played today on their schedule had they. So fortunate for sure. But I just think the mentality of that's not how college basketball works, right? You can have a catastrophic loss and still recover. And while it's easy to dismiss this team, and, it was ironic that you have Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and Lathan Somerville in the building for this game. Everyone's excited about the future, as am I. And I think you can be super amped about the future while also not just dismissing this team. I know there's a mentality out there that you want to just dismiss this team and move on to next year, but it doesn't work that way. And honestly, for fans that have sat through games like this before, that have been on the wrong end of this game for many, many years, who lived through the Little Page era, the scandals of Kevin Bannon, of Fred Hill, of Mike Rice. I'm probably forgetting something. Eddie Jordan era. We've been through a lot. And if you're going to let today write this team off, I mean, come on. Act like you've been here before. We are a lot more hardened and have been through a lot more shit than this. And I know that people are upset and disappointed, but nobody picked this team to be a top half of Big Ten team. I still think the Big Ten is wide open. I mean, you just don't know how things are going to flow in a college basketball season, right? And we saw Rutgers sky high last year, 8-4 in the Big Ten. Mag goes down, everything changes, right? If Rutgers can, obviously we hope Davis is okay. I haven't seen the press conference with Peichel, but I haven't heard that it's anything too serious. If they get Jeremiah Williams in early January off this gambling issue with the NCAA, if Iqbal comes back and provides some depth, if Gavin Griffiths can get some confidence back, if Noah gets some, I mean, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of things that have to happen. But basketball is a game of runs, and it's a season of runs. And you can't write this team off. You just can't. The way the Big Ten is this year, and the way that this team is constructed, they've shot so poorly so far. I'm not saying this is going to end up being a good shooting team, but they're not. They just can't keep shooting this poorly. They just can't. I can't believe that they will. And when you're in close Big Ten games, you have assets to get to the free throw line in Fernandes, and Simpson and Hyatt. These are guys that can hit free throws down the stretch. And Hyatt hit 2 big ones down the stretch in this game. I just believe that there is a way for this. There is a path for this team to figure it out. I get that not many people believe that they can right now. And I'm not saying it's likely, right? Most likely you're looking at about, I mean, I don't believe in the 4-16 in the Big Ten and 12-19 overall. I don't buy that. Could this be a 16-15 team that goes, 8-12 in the Big Ten? Yeah, that's possible for sure. Absolutely. But this team, it's now or never, right? You're going into Big Ten play. In a way, you're now getting some, school is out. You're going on the road for a week. And if this team can figure it out, a week from now, it could be a completely different outlook. So I just think that let's hope this was a wake-up call. It was very concerning, major red flags. I know everybody has a right to be frustrated, disappointed, everything. But this is college basketball. Rutgers got through non-conference play without a devastating loss. Big Ten is wide open this year. They have 19 games to go. You have opportunities galore for Q1 road wins. Q2, protect your home court. Crowd was great today. Credit to Rutgers fans. But let's just stop with it. I mean, I don't get the whole just let's quit. Let's just fold up and go. Like, are we that soft as a fan base? I don't think so. I know there's a lot of fans that don't feel that way, but the vocal few on social media that want to just give up and, it stinks. It stinks. At the end of the day, don't give up on this team. It's okay to not be overly optimistic of this team either, but at the same point, credit, it's all about resiliency and adversity. And Derek Simpson, to his credit, a symbol today of stepping up and coming through. So happy for that. A lot of things this team needs to get better on. Rebounding is a major issue. Defensive intensity, in terms of sharing the basketball. They really need Michael Davis back. But Derek Simpson, he figured something out today, I think. And we got to get Noah Fernandez to get some confidence. Gavin Griffiths has it. Got to get him going. Hyatt's Hyatt. He's been steady as always. Austin Williams, hopefully he can get some more consistent minutes now if he can stay healthy. I don't know what's going on with Wolf, but they haven't got much from him. Mag, can he get the rust off and be a little bit more consistent? There's a lot of question marks for this team, but they're question marks. They're not periods. So keep it together. Hope everybody has a happy new year. I'll probably put something out before the new year. I plan to. Thanks for listening and watching this rapid reaction. Once again, I forgot my name, Scarlet Faithful, Aaron Brightman. Again, 3-year-old running around with a remote, turning the game off. It was a disaster. Thank goodness I didn't turn it on and they lost. And this is college basketball. Rutgers survives.